with 3 easy payments of $33. Exclusively available from Fitness Effects. So take the easy step to a younger, firmer-looking you and order now.
Don't send any money. Just call 1-800-257-1257. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of only $33 plus shipping and handling. To order your Easy Step, call 1-800-257-1257. That's 1-800-257-1257. Just 3 monthly payments and your satisfaction is guaranteed with our convenient payment plan. Call now, 1-800-257-1257.
This is CNN.
Put your blade to the earth. Break ground.
Oh, I just think it's so nice that they finally remembered them. Thank you.
Everybody, one more time.
10 years ago, a patch of earth in Washington became home to a black granite wall that still reflects battle scars. For visitors, it stirs passionate, painful memories. Hello and welcome to CNN's Morning News this Veterans Day. I'm Donna Kelley.
I'm Bob Cain. Good morning. A Vietnam veteran joins us a little later to talk about some of the emotions the wall brings out in people as America today honors the men and women who've served us all in the military. Reid Collins is in Washington with a look at what the day means and what's happening at the wall. Reid?
Bob, thank you. Now hear this and listen up. Though we were concentrating on the Vietnam Memorial, the wall we call it, this day is dedicated to all veterans of all the wars, conflicts, police actions, from just-ended Desert Storm back through campfires long extinguished. And we observe this day, remember, the 11th day of the 11th month, in honor of the armistice that stopped the slaughter of World War I in 1918. But now to the wall on its anniversary on this Veterans Day, and my colleague David French. David?
The last of the 58,183 names has just been read. The Marine Corps is about to present musical honors and is bringing in the colors now. It is sunny in Washington. This America's longest war being remembered in a different mood now here on the 10th anniversary of the Vietnam Memorial. With us today is a woman who in 1982 was president of the American Gold Star Mothers, Mrs. Helen Stuber. Mrs. Stuber, you were here 10 years ago, and you were here yesterday to read the name of your late son, Jerry Daniel Varner, who was a Lance Corporal with the Marines when he died. What was your moment like yesterday?
Well, it was, I would say it was much easier than 10 years ago. The wall has certainly been a healing process for the parents as well as, I'm sure, as the veterans. And you feel that life is going to go on and that this is what my son would like.
I apologize that we're talking over the playing of taps here at the memorial to those who are sensitive to that. But let me ask you, what is different about this year than 10 years ago for you and the others you know?
Well, 10 years ago, I think that the nation was kind of unrest. The people maybe had not a hatred, but they were questioned about the war. They were not sympathetic to the parents as well as the veterans. And today you feel a feeling of love that you didn't feel then. And I believe that the veterans today as well as the war has been accepted in our nation.
What do you think the changes are that brought that to be?
Well, I would say one of the things would be the Vietnam Memorial. Never have I ever seen, or anyone else ever seen, such a mass of names in one place. And when you walk up to the wall and see all these 58,000 plus names, it certainly does something to you, and I think the wall itself has been a healing process.
We're hearing this great hymn in the background, Amazing Grace. To be a mother to lose a son in battle takes amazing grace, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Helen Stuber, thank you very much for sharing your story with us today and for being president of the Gold Star Mothers in 1982. We're going to listen to the last of this hymn. As I say, this is David French reporting from the Vietnam Memorial.
President and Mrs. Bush made a midnight visit to the Vietnam Wall. They slipped out of the White House with just a few Secret Service agents. Mr. Bush described this before he left for a fishing trip in Florida this morning.
Inasmuch as this Veterans Day, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all veterans for their service to this country and to suggest to all those in this country that haven't had an opportunity to see, especially to see the memorial for the Vietnam veterans. It is a very moving tribute. I've been there several times before, but it was extraordinarily moving for Barbara and me, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank the veterans for their service to this great country of ours.
And President-elect Bill Clinton will be making Veterans Day remarks at noon Eastern Time today in Arkansas. CNN will have live coverage.
There is a related story in today's news. A member of the Senate Committee on POW and MIA Affairs charges that important Russian witnesses are being kept from U.S. investigators. The committee wants to hear from people believed to know the fate of American POWs. The charges by Senator Bob Smith came yesterday as witnesses testified about U.S. POWs from the Korean War. An aide to Russian President Boris Yeltsin is scheduled to testify before the committee during this hour. Yesterday, retired Army officer Philip Corso told the committee he believed at least 900 POWs were taken from Korea to Siberia. Corso was an aide to then President Eisenhower. It was he who recommended the soldiers be listed as dead.
These men will never come back alive because they will get in the hands of the KGB, who will use them for their purposes. He said, your recommendation not to make it public? I told my recommendation not to make public the KGB operation. So the president said, well, I accept your recommendation.
For me to assume that he would say to 1,200 families, I'm sorry, but we're not going to tell you anything about the fact that your loved ones may be alive, strains my imagination.
A Pentagon official who testified yesterday said the Defense Department is still analyzing information about U.S. servicemen from the Korean War era. That official says he thinks less than 100 American POWs may have been taken to China or the former Soviet Union.
The Pentagon has grudgingly agreed to reinstate a sailor who was discharged because he is homosexual. Armed with a judge's reinstatement order, Keith Meinhold reported for duty on Monday, but he was turned away from a naval air station in California. The judge yesterday demanded Meinhold be reinstated, and the Pentagon said Meinhold should report for work tomorrow. Keith Meinhold will be a guest today on Sonia Live. The program is seen at 1 p.m. Eastern here on CNN.
Elizabeth Tamposi, the Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs, has until this afternoon to clean out her desk. Tamposi was fired yesterday for her role in the pre-election searches of Bill Clinton's and his mother's passport records, apparently as well as those of Ross Perot. A State Department investigation is underway. It's expected to be completed sometime this week. Tamposi repeatedly has declined CNN's request for comment.
Bill Clinton's transition team today makes one of the first high-level direct contacts with the Bush administration. Transition co-chairman Vernon Jordan says he'll meet with White House Chief of Staff James Baker at Baker's home in Washington. Well, last evening, President Bush traded honors with Republican elites at an emotional dinner in Washington. Mr. Bush handed the mantle of GOP leadership to Senate Minority Leader Robert Dole. Dole told the president that the best man did not win last week.
Of course, doing the right thing isn't always easy, nor is it always popular. But if you were looking for the easy way out, you never ought to put your life on the line in the skies over the Pacific, defending America, fighting for the values you were to defend throughout your distinguished career. In public service.
The president responded by saying it's up to Dole to hold the party together in what Mr. Bush called the troubled, tough days ahead.
Well, should George Bush sweep aside the Iran-Contra continuing investigation and presidentially pardon Reagan Defense Secretary Weinberger and others? We'll talk to a couple of observers who disagree on that when Morning News continues.
I even gave...
God, who are you?
I am Dracula.
I don't know what's happening to me.
Do you believe in destiny?
There are darknesses in life, my child, and you are one of the lights.
I give you life eternal.
Take me away from all this death.
Bram Stoker's Dracula, a Francis Ford Coppola film. Rated R. At theaters Friday.
You probably think you know all you need to know about Anacin. Well, you don't know everything. Anacin is such a strong pain reliever, headache sufferers find Anacin more effective against stubborn headaches than regular strength aspirin. So if you get the kind of headaches that affect your work, the kind that put you in a bad mood, the kind that keep you from enjoying yourself, rediscover Anacin for stubborn headache pain.
Has the simple joy of driving become a casualty of the times? Introducing 200 turbocharged horses. Uncanny grace. And one of the safest cars Saab has ever built. The new 9000 CSE. A car you can drive hard with your conscience intact.
This is a Mita plain paper fax. And this, anyway, this is a thermal fax. Which one is better? Which one looks better to you?
Today, travel with us to San Antonio, Texas, where the old missions and the Alamo add up to a religious experience and a history lesson. Today on Living in the 90s, 10:30 a.m. Eastern on CNN.
I think they could investigate it fairly quickly, the Justice Department, see if in fact there were politics involved. And that, in my view, would be enough for a pardon.
Judge Walsh is a lifelong Republican. He served as a Republican appointee under 3 Republican presidents. He was in the Justice Department, appointed by a Republican president, was appointed as a federal judge by a Republican president. So I don't think there's any basis for the suggestion that he has been engaged in this activity for partisan political purposes.
A post-election argument over the Iran-Contra episode continues. Democrat George Mitchell scoffs at the idea that politics were involved in the prosecutions, but Republican Robert Dole suggests politics was behind the new indictment against Reagan Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger just before the election. Our issue today, should President Bush issue a pardon for Iran-Contra offenders? On the Republican side, we have Bruce Fine, a constitutional expert who worked for GOP members of the House Iran-Contra Committee. For the Democrats, Congressman Dan Glickman of Kansas, who serves on the House Select Committee on Intelligence. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Congressman Glickman, the basic question, what do you think about a pardon for the Iran-Contra offenders?
I think it's a very bad idea, and I don't think George Bush is going to do it. I think that his place in history would be dramatically reduced if he were to yield to the pressures from the